Mia Khalifa is a porn star that rose to fame a few years ago from shooting a porn video of herself in a hijab, or a traditional Muslim covering. The video went really viral and she became very famous and is one of the top porn stars today, ranked on popular porn sites such as Pornhub. Her story is very interesting and I wanted to talk a little bit about it because I think it reveals a lot about the porn industry and about porn stars and women that get involved in porn. So Mia came out and did an interview late last year explaining how exactly she got into porn, how much money she earned, and why she left the industry. Her story is that she's Lebanese American and her family came here as refugees. She says that she had a lot of issues with insecurity, being overweight, etc. And she eventually lost that weight and started getting noticed and getting validation from people, and she enjoyed that feeling. Basically, that led her to getting a breast augmentation and to seeking out more opportunities for attention. Her story of how she began porn was that she basically was being interviewed for a modeling job, which somehow escalated into full nude modeling and to a sort of coercion for doing full body porn and full nudity. Contrary to what a lot of people think, she was actually only in the industry for 3 months and was not really paid as much as you think she would be. She only made $12,000 for the handful of shoots that she shot during that short career. Her porn videos caused a lot of controversy, prompting groups like ISIS to send her death threats, as they saw her as defaming the Islamic religion. Her family disowned her, and she said that she felt a lot of shame and decided to leave the industry, but that it was too late. She's currently fighting to have her videos removed, but it's very hard considering the contracts and things that she signed unknowingly. She's sort of become an advocate against these nefarious practices of the porn industry. Her story really spoke to me for several reasons. I also come from a strict Middle Eastern family, and when I read the bit about her saying that she sort of just wanted to rebel and do something wild because of her conditioned and strict upbringing, I definitely could relate to that, and I can see how many girls probably have had the same train of thought and maybe wanted to innocently let loose and break out of these sexual constraints and end up making a mistake that they end up later regretting. Middle Eastern culture is very restrictive and repressive against women. A lot of people think that there's no use for feminism and that women are overreacting, but if you just look at the Middle East and how awful they treat their women, how much they are run by these insecurities and they want to cover women up, and it's really hard to get divorced unless you give up your material rights, and they barely let women drive in Saudi Arabia. It's really, really bad in the Middle East for women. So I can understand that sense of rebellion and just wanting to lash out against that status quo. Another reason her story spoke to me is because I live in Los Angeles and I'm very familiar with this script of people who hunt for models and look for models with weird ulterior motives. I used to do some promotional modeling for events and things like that, and I've come across people like this who sort of try to trick you into thinking you're doing modeling, and they understand that there's a lot of women that move to LA specifically because they want to become famous and things like that, and they prey on these women by offering them, a lot of money for doing just an hour of a shoot and things like that. I feel compassion for women that end up getting sucked into this industry and not knowing what they're getting themselves into. I think that it's probably a blessing in disguise that she's currently dealing with this unwanted fame, because she's now serving as an advocate and explaining to people these nefarious practices that go on in LA and in Hollywood and that prey on female energy, on women, to make a profit. What's really interesting is that she claims to only have made $12,000, yet her videos are the top ranked, and they've made hundreds of thousands of dollars off of her, which she doesn't get any profit of. It seems very, very unjust and a testament to just how women are taken advantage of and used financially. I think that the use of financial power to subjugate and control women is not only in the porn industry, but it's rife throughout society. If you just take a look at another big phenomenon in LA, which is the sugar relationships, which I think work for some people. However, there's truly no woman that enjoys being with an unattractive man, and they're simply doing it for money because they don't see any other routes, and society's a little bit skewed against women making a lot of money for their gifts and for their natural abilities. This hoarding of the wealth and resources by the masculine energy, by the patriarchy, by the men, is what leads to things like prostitution, strip clubs, sex trafficking, things that cater to that ego, masculine ego that's in power. I'm all for the freedom of sexuality, and a lot of people can see porn as being an artistic thing and that it should be, allowed and not judged so much. However, it's a different case when you look at the dynamics of these actresses, where they're coming from, and what their reality is. And I think it's important for people watching, because I know there's a lot of people on nofap and trying to quit porn. If you begin to humanize these women, which is what a lot of men say happens on nofap and on semen retention, they begin to see women not just as these sexual caricatures that you see in porn, but as real live flesh women with feelings and emotions and struggles and things that kind of force them into doing these porn videos that they don't really want to be doing. The karmic consequences of men or women consuming this pornography is that energy is being invoked in the scene, and when you masturbate or you look at these scenes, you literally do take on that low vibrational energy. I'm interested to see what happens next with Mia, and I hope that she gets justice and that more women come out and tell their stories and stop internalizing the shame, because it's very, very ridiculous that women bear the brunt of all this sexual shame when it's these men and these dark people that are driving these industries and taking advantage of these women. So the shame is totally displaced in that situation. I'm passionate about Tantra and educating people about authentic sexuality and the proper use of sexual energy, because if everyone knew how to cultivate their sexual energy properly, we wouldn't have all this rampant sexual distortion with all this sex trafficking, all these elite pedophilia scandals, all of these weird forms of sexual predatory behavior, because people think that they can't cultivate that energy from themselves. They don't realize that energy is infinite and anyone can tap into that infinite supply. Tantra is all about honoring the women and honoring the goddess. Until everybody realizes that everybody needs the feminine energy to thrive for their own personal benefit, then nothing's going to change. So we have to all collectively shift our attitudes, shift our weird shaming and blaming and hypocrisy, and begin to honor the feminine once more. If you're interested in this idea of how to cultivate your sexual energy, check out my online courses and see if any of them resonate with you. Thanks for watching this video. Please like, share, and subscribe. I'll see you in the next one.